Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today, unexpectedly, we continue with our work on models, and this is due to the fact that I got a question in comments regarding models written by Leo. How can I create multiple model on React? Login model, register model, forgot pass model, for example. I open login model and click forgot password text, then forgot password model is opening. How can I do this? And this was asked under my last video about dynamic data and maps in React. So Leo, today is the day you'll get your answer. So this episode will be based upon the work I have done previously in a login model series, and you'll find a link to it in the description and in the pinned comment below the video. So what I'm gonna be using to handle that issue is the latest version of React Router. So this is V6 version. So not only we'll learn about models here, but also about a little bit about React Router. First things first, what we have here is what we did previously, which is showing the login model, which is not a lot. I'm going to start by modifying the index HTML just to push this to the bottom and get it out of our way. So I'm gonna find this below model root. This is the information about icon we're using. I'm gonna just quickly add a style here as a string. This is the fastest way, but you shouldn't do it really. Change the position to fixed and push it to the bottom. Okay, with that we have that out of the way. So let's now start by adding what we need, which will be React Router and React Routed DOM. So add React Router, React Router DOM, and also the types, since we are using TypeScript. So React DOM and types React React Router, React Router, and React Router DOM. And you might ask, what does React Router have? How is it connected to our models? Well, we're presenting several models, the forgot password, the register, and the login model. And we're gonna modify our URL right here, register accordingly, forgot password, and whenever anyone is on that URL, we'll present a model. But what is also important, if you reload the browser, I would like also to present that model, so it's somehow connected to the URL on which we're in. Okay, we have that in place. So let's actually start working on what we do. I'm going to start by modifying the index.tsx, because that's the place where we set up our React router and the routes that we'll use. So we need to import a few things here. If I could just write that correctly, from React Router DOM, and that's going to be a browser router, routes, and a route. Okay, And now we'll set it up. So let's start by wrapping everything with a browser rudder. That's the first thing you should do. Then I'm going to specify one route here. We're going to need a path, and it's going to be the backslash, so like empty path or the root path. And then the element, that's going to be the React component. And it's going to be our main component. Okay, so this is actually a rather interesting case because we'd like to render some kind of main page or home page and navigation for each and every single model we're working with, and then also have separate pages for separate URLs for our login, register, and forgot password model. So to set up this structure properly, we're gonna nest routes. So I'm gonna add another route here. For now, that's gonna be login and element. That's gonna be, I'm gonna call this probably something like login modal wrapper. So the idea here is to have those two nested so that we are able to render both components at once. Of course, that component is going to be rendered for path, and oops, I should fix that, and for URL, and then also for this URL, right? Because they are nested. So this this element should be rendered for all of the nested URLs, and that way we can present both components on the screen. So let's start by modifying the app component just a little bit to present our navigation instead of everything we're doing right now. Basically, you can get rid of, well, almost everything because we're not gonna need it here. Maybe I'm gonna comment it for now. I'm gonna create a little bit of style here. So let's create a nav wrapper and use styled nav element. Of course, the style is coming from the styled components. Have that. We're gonna set the margin to be auto. Width is gonna be 500 pixels. The display to flex and justify content as a space between. Okay, that's all good. And now we can modify our render function. So I'm gonna return nav wrapper here, and here we'll set up our links. So we'll need a link component from React Router. Let's see where we can import that. Not really. Okay, I have to help you a little bit. Link from React Router DOM. And here we will have login. Let's just copy that real quick. Have 3 links. And that's gonna be register, and that's gonna be forgot password. Okay, and then that's register, and that's forgot password. And then basically not only we could render our navigation, but maybe something like some other content of your wonderful app. Okay, that's good. So let's comment that one just for now. Let's see what we get. Oh, we didn't we didn't wrap the route with routes. Okay, so that's one thing that should be here, and then close it. Okay, yeah, and as we can see, the links are working correctly because the URL is being changed, but we don't really render anything here. So let's get to work. First thing I would like to render is login modal wrapper. So what I'm gonna do is create new folder here, call it routes, and then do new folder, call it login, another folder, call it register, and another one, call it forgot password, and start with login. We'll basically keep the login model almost as it is, but what we'll do is we will add some stuff to it and move it around a little bit. So let's take it and drag it into login. Okay, let's hope that I believe we will have to update our paths. That should be that one, and that should be higher. Go time 2 times up. Everything else is fine. I'm gonna create a new component here and call it login modal wrapper tsx. And one might wonder why are we splitting this in two? And this is due to the fact that I'd like to keep my components as stupid as possible. So any kind of external information or interaction will be coming from to our login model from login modal wrapper, which will have, well, a little bit of more data and information how to do stuff, but it's not going to be complex, I promise you that. So we're gonna move stuff around a little bit, so maybe open login model to the side here. Okay, and let's see, let's render login model here, right, and see what we have to pass to make it work. We need on close is modal visible and on login requested. Okay, well, one thing is rather simple, is modal visible should be always true, right? This is because when someone actually navigates to that URL, well, that's indication for us that should definitely show our model. So that's one thing. Let's figure out our own close that we have to pass. That's actually also rather easy. Let's create on close helper function here. And when someone closes the model, I would like him to return to the home URL, and browser router will handle closing the model for us as we change the URL. So what I'm going to do is get the navigate helper function from use navigate, and this is a hook from React Router that you can use to navigate programmatically, right? So I'm going to take use navigate, okay, and then I'm just going to say, actually I can write it as a one-liner, navigate, okay, and pass that here. Okay. Then we need on login requested, and I'm also gonna create on login requested helper function here, and this is gonna be pretty much the same thing we had in here. So let's uncomment that. But we will change few things here. There's a login function here, or at least it should be somewhere coming from login modal. I'm actually gonna create a helper file here and call it just TypeScript. Go to login modal, copy this. I'm gonna change this to auth args and change that to auth function. Okay. Let's see. That should be auth function coming from the types. And here, this is no go. We'll change that to auth function. Okay, login user is coming from fake authentication service. And then the last thing that we need, can get rid of that. The last thing that we need is the state to handle our login error. So login error set login error is equal to use state string or undefined. Okay, what do you need? On login requested. Okay, set login error and then pass login error here. And if we go here, if we go here and import that, okay, what is missing? Something wrong in app TSX. We don't really care about that anymore. And we don't need that too. Okay. It's looking good. What else? It's been fake auth service, login args. Yep, not needed anymore because this is auth args. Okay, now it's compiling, and let's see. Let's click on login. This should change our URL and render login modal wrapper for us, and it doesn't work. And this is because there's a little more setup that we need for React Router. So we have to go and find our topmost component that we're rendering. So this is like the top of the three of the components that we were rendering for nested routes, and this is app. And what we need here is a special component coming from React Router, which is outlet. Okay, and with that we have it. And now on close, as you can see, we're also changing the URL. So now you're able to control whether the login is opened or closed using the URL of your app. Also, what is nice and why we're using this in the first place is if we reload the page on that URL, as you can see, the modal stays open because it's binded to the URL that we configured in React Router. Okay, so that's one thing. Before we move any further, I would like to fix one thing that's not really nice, and we can improve it in the modal login. So let's go here. And as you can see here, we're passing a content, right, which is of type React Node, to base modal wrapper props. And that's not really needed. And we could compose the components using the like say native or proper way in React. And remove that, then change it simply from using the modal, from using the content prop, to really using good old children, right? We can get rid of that and replace it with children and render that here. It should still work, right? So that was bad on my part maybe, but you don't always have to pass some kind of specific React Node prop, because you can just rely on children being naturally passed to your components, right? And I think that looks, well, cleaner and more, let's say, React-ish. Okay, so that's one thing out of the way. We have to set up the other routes. So let's go to our index and now get rid of that and set up the other things. So that's going to be path, register element. That's going to be the register modal wrapper. There's that, and now let's work on that. So I'm gonna create two files here. One's gonna be register modal wrapper.tsx, and then the next file is gonna be register modal wrapper, and I'm gonna start register modal. Sorry, I'm gonna start with that. So basically, that's going to be rather easy. I can just copy the login modal code, change a few things. I'm going to change this to register modal. And I'm doing this text replace by just putting my cursor on some kind of text and pressing L2. And now I can just replace this globally. You can see it's being changed here and here. I'm gonna change that to be register error. I'm gonna change that to be on register requested. Okay, get rid of that. And we're gonna say well, we can get rid of that, and we'll create on register trigger, because we have to do a little bit of additional thing around here. So what we have a login and password. Typically, what you do is that you request the password to be repeated when the user is registering. So this is all nice, but I'm gonna create another state here, and I'm gonna call this password repeat, set password repeat. I'm gonna use state starting with an empty string. Then I'm going to set password repeat, and the value here is of course the password, meaning that the value here is going to be password repeat. Okay, that's one thing. Let's see, what else do we need? We have to have some kind of way to check whether the password and the password that using is repeating are the same. So I'm going to create a helper function here. We're going to pass both values here. I'm going to say if password repeat is not equal to password. This is the simplest validation you can think of. Okay, and then I'm going to create another function here and say on register trigger. I'm going to validate password repeat and password. Yep. Okay, and if that's all nice, I'm gonna call on register requested with password and login. Else, well, we should actually inform our user that there's a difference between the first and the second password that he provided. So I'm going to create another state here and call it local register error and set local register error. And I'm going to use state string or undefined. Okay, and it's starting as an undefined value. So now, as you can see, we will be having, oops, something's wrong, string or undefined. Okay, now it's good. So as you can see, we can have two errors here. One coming from the API, for example, when the given email or given login is already taken. And the second one that we should do and we're doing before performing the API request, and this is like the value validation error. Okay, so if there's an error, I'm going to set local register error to something like password entries must match. Okay, I'm gonna change that to on register trigger. Okay, this is should be fine. Okay, and then here we're gonna just render that twice, so it's rather register error from the API, or it also might be the local register error. Okay, so that's good. Okay, no errors, no nothing on the red. Come on, we're better than that. On register error. Okay, looking good. Now we should work on the modal wrapper. So let's bootstrap that. There will be no props, as this is another root smart component. What we're gonna do is we're gonna just return register modal here and just supply the stuff that we need. So is model visible? Yes, sir, it is. Then on close, that's gonna be pretty much the same. So navigate, and I'm gonna just create that here. Use navigate, which should come from the React router, from React router DOM. And this is use navigate, okay. Supply that here. Well, so we need the register error, so we don't need that for sure. Okay, use state, we need to copy that. Register model, let's go with the register error. And then we need one last thing on register requested, which is going to be our function. This is going to be asynchronous, taking some arguments. And I'm going to go to our fake out surface here and quickly add a function. It's going to be pretty much the same. So register user, and that's going to take out args, and it's gonna return new promise. It's gonna resolve or reject, which is going to use set timeout to simulate the asynchronous operation after some time. And then we're gonna check if the login password. So let's see, if login is gonna equal cyber potato, we're gonna reject the promise saying login already taken. Else if password length is gonna be less than 5, we're gonna reject saying password is too short. So this is us simulating the validation that should be done on the server. Else, if you got through to here, just resolve through. And let's just export register user. So that should be good. So something. Okay, well, looking good. So here, back to our register model wrapper, I can just say try catch, await register user with the args, and if you catch any error, set register error, and it should be string based on what we have written here and here. And so yeah, then just go to on register requested and pass that, and hopefully it will compile. Okay, Well, let's see, if we close that and go to register, we fail miserably. And oh no, actually, not really. We have to change the labels here on our register model. So let's go to register model and say register, please register, and then find that one and also change it to register. Now that looks correct. Moving on. Same stuff we should do for the forgot password. So just quickly, I'm gonna add forgot password here. Let's say forgot password login string promise boolean not really, return promise, return new promise. That should resolve using set time, pretty much the same stuff as above. Okay. Now, let's see, how should we approach that? Let's say if login equal to cyber potato resolve true, otherwise we'll just reject no such user. But reject, oh yeah, reject and reject and get that here. But this is actually interesting case. Actually, both are. In terms of security, you should always ask yourself whether you should inform an user that given login is already taken, or if that user exists or doesn't exist in database. That's because someone might start checking random emails and, like, for example, I don't know, billclinton.gmail or Mark Zuckerberg at facebook.com, and therefore get the information about the emails which are in your database. It might be considered security leak or security issue. So you should always ask yourself whether during this forgot password or registration process you should leak information about given email existing in your database to any bypasser. So just something to consider, but rather important. Okay, and here we go again. Create forgot password wrapper tsx, and another file is going to be forgot password modal. There we go. Go like this, just rename that forgot password modal. Okay, and here I'm gonna start with forgot password because why not? Bootstrap this, get rid of that, and get rid of this. What we're gonna need here is pretty much the same as before. We're gonna get navigate. It's going to come from use navigate. It's coming from React Router DOM. Okay, and then we need on reset password requested. And here you're actually only passing a login, which is of type string, and you await forgot password with login. That should be good. But then here we return forgot password modal, which we're yet to create. And of course the unclose popper function. So that's gonna be the same as other places. You could create like your own hook, use modal close. Maybe we'll do that. Call that async, and let's get to it. So that one, it's gonna be based off of on the modal login. Get that, remove that. We don't intend to have any errors here because we're so perfect. That's gonna change. Let's see, we don't need that. We need that and that, no errors. And here on, let's say, reset password requested. Do that, get rid of that, use that here. This is only taking login, rename that forgot password modal. That prop doesn't exist anymore. Oh, this is function that is taking login as a string and void. Okay. Copy that here. And now we just have to plug in the props. So on close is modal visible. Actually, we don't really need that anymore. We could get rid of that props. Just pass through here, right? So one less prop. We should change that in our other models too. And then we have on reset password requested, which is on reset password requested. That's that. Don't need that. And import this. That should compile, I hope. Great. So we need to plug that, of course, into our routes. I'm gonna call this forgot password, and then forgot password modal wrapper. We don't need that. Okay, and that should set up all of the three models. Yeah, we need to, of course, change the labels here. Reset password. Okay. Try again. Reset password. Register. Login. This is looking good. It's almost completed. I would like to add just one more thing here. So it would be nice for us to be able to switch between the models, not only using these buttons. We're pretty much for like global navigation here, but also from one model to another. So what I'm gonna do is just get button container and set up some links here. This is going to be linked to login, the other one to register. It's going to point us to register. Import the link. Can we? No, it's not helping us here. Okay, so import link from React router DOM. That's nice. Copy that. Go to register model. This is going to point us to login and forgot password. Okay. Link. Great. And then to login modal, slap that here, grab that. Here we should point to the register. And forgot password. Okay, let's try that now. Forgot password, register, login, close, open, register again. So yeah, this is how you can create multiple models on React, login model, register model, and forgot password model. Switch between those and hook those into the React router navigation system. I hope you enjoyed that one. I'm working on the functional JavaScript series right now, but in the meantime, I'm also going to be working on the landing page video or maybe series. Yeah, I'm gonna post those as we go. Of course, you can already find that code in the repository. I'm gonna pass the link in the pinned comment below. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.